The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly podcast coming to you May 23rd, 2023. It is a kind of a cloudy Tuesday here in South Florida, here in the Earnestly Speaking studios, or studio. I don't name these studios, man. It's in my bedroom closet, of course. But special shout out to my son, my youngest son, Logan, who today officially graduated from kindergarten. His moving up ceremony was today. My wife and I went to attend that ceremony today. It was a great time. Shout out to his teacher, Miss Smith, she's done a fantastic job, especially this year, losing her mom and still being able to teach my kids, and especially in an advanced kindergarten class, and doing a great job with that. She actually taught both my kids, both my oldest son too, also in kindergarten as well, 5 years ago. So shout out to her to doing a fantastic job with both my kids. Both love her very much. She won't listen to this podcast, obviously, so I'm not gonna, it's not nothing there, but shout out to her, of course. We got a lot to get to today. A lot to get to in the podcast today. Again, this is a audio only episode. A lot going to get into. Of course, the Nuggets get into the NBA Finals, clinching the first berth ever, sweeping the Lakers in 4. LeBron James making some ominous words after the game. Of course, Carmelo Anthony also retired yesterday. Ron DeSantis is supposed to be entering the presidential race very soon. I got some words about Elon Musk and some positive things I'll be doing here on Twitter, actually, which is very rare. And some talk about the summertime coming around. But let's get to the NBA Finals, the Western Finals now. We have one half of the NBA Finals already set now. We have the Denver Nuggets, who clinched their ticket last night to the NBA Finals, sweeping the Lakers in a really great Game 4, competitive Game 4. All 4 games competitive, but Denver is the better team. We knew this for a long time. I know. I said the Nuggets, I said the Lakers in 6. You know what's funny? And I'm being very serious. You probably won't even agree when I say what I'm going to say here. I did actually think that the Nuggets win the series. I did think so, but I just had to see it. I just had to see them do it. And they did it, and they did it in dominant fashion, in a sweeping fashion, in fact. Nikola Jokic is the West Finals MVP. You got the Magic Johnson. That's got to be at insult to injury. Jokic winning the Magic Johnson MVP award of the series in LA against the Lakers. Of course, Magic Johnson, of course, being one of the all-time, in my opinion, the greatest Laker of all time. That's got to be an insult to the wound. Denver, fantastic year. Jamal Murray, a awesome series. Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, a great series too. Bruce Brown. Denver. Let me just right now. Obviously we'll have more of these conversations in the weeks to come on this podcast when we have more discussion about the individual teams. But the Denver Nuggets are in a good spot here. You might, folks, want to start getting used to seeing Denver, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, being, if not in the finals, certainly in the conversation. Because, we talk about, one of the things was I said about this postseason I've been saying is this is about windows, team windows. How certain teams have, honestly, most teams have small windows depending on their situations, because a lot of things that can happen, especially this summer, with certain players that could or could not leave their respective teams. I talk about Boston and Jaylen Brown. I talk about Philly and James Harden. I talk about the Phoenix Suns and having to rework that team around Durant and Devin Booker. Lakers, and they're not getting younger. We had some in the second too. The Lakers. A lot of teams have a lot of question marks. The Bucks are going to be doing a slight little retooling / rebuilding, when they call that. The only contender right now that will have the same core guaranteed, to come back based on the contracts. Because things can change, of course. Someone that's for trade, whatever, that can happen. But the only team that's locked and loaded based on contracts for the next 2 to 3 years is Denver Nuggets. Their core 4 of Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr. are locked, stock, and barreled to guarantee contracts through 2025, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. They're locked up. So this Denver thing you're seeing this year may not be a fluke. It may not be, well, it ain't a fluke. This video is not a fluke, of course. They say some passing by thing, like, oh, the Nuggets are in playoffs. The Nuggets had a great year and they just got lucky. No. They can claim of all 30 teams in the league right now and all the contenders in the league right now that they are the most stable and know who they are, barring injury, of course barring injury, moving forward. And they're all in the prime. They're all in the prime. Jamal Murray bounces back this year after that catastrophic knee injury he had a year and a half ago. They stayed the course with him, and he had a fantastic year and even more phenomenal playoffs, a phenomenal series. You can argue. I mean, they got Jokic right as the MVP in the series, but you can argue Jamal Murray almost just as much earned that award as well too. Especially in Game 2 when he turned it on in the fourth quarter after he had a horrible first 3 quarters of Game 2. So now they await the winner of Miami and Boston tonight, Game 4, of course. Go Heat, bitch. That's my team, of course. Hopefully get the final square away. That don't get me wrong, I would love to see more basketball, but honestly, as a Heat fan, I want to see this series end fast and quick and easy. Don't let go of the rope. Using those disposals, of course. So Denver Nuggets in the postseason for the first in the NBA Finals for the first time ever. And yeah, it's a great story. Nikola Jokic is probably the best player in basketball right now. I think when we go enter the year next season, whether or not Nuggets are NBA champions or not, certainly West Conference champions at least, I think we can argue that it's probably Jokic 1, Giannis 2. I think that can be argued now. Because now we're seeing a sample now. Two straight MVPs last year. Could have won a third. And honestly, I hate to say this. I'm the guy that said that Joel Embiid should deserve MVP. But right now, if I'm building a team right this second, I'm taking Jokic over Embiid right now. So, if for anything, solely on durability. That's one thing Jokic has on Embiid is durability. I would argue Embiid is definitely the better defensive player. Okay? Certainly has the most upside because he's uber talented, better shooter, offensive talent just like Jokic. But Jokic is the more durable player. Jokic is also the better all-around player. That can't be questioned anymore. And let's be real. He has had more postseason success, and that matters. That absolutely matters. Especially when both guys can argue this is real. I mean, Jamal Murray is now having a great year. You would say Denver has a better team, yes. But, on paper 3 years, Philadelphia's roster ain't too shabby either. Especially when you have James Harden on your roster. Jokic doesn't have a top 5 guy on his roster at all. Joel Embiid does, and James Harden. Now we can talk about Harden and what he means. And by the way, James Harden does not care about winning. Okay, he can win championships. I mean, the fact that he's even considering leaving Philadelphia, go to Houston. And we hear more of those rumors come up now. I don't know if it's a leverage play going forward, but it proves to me if these rumors are true that James Harden does not care about winning. And honestly, about Philadelphia, let him walk. But back to the Nuggets real quick. Bottom line is this. Jokic could be arguably the best player in basketball now in the NBA. You can say Jokic 1, Giannis 2, whatever. Have that battle 1A, 1B. I don't give a damn. But Jokic has more than solidified now his standing in today's NBA. And I'm proud of the brother. I'm proud of him. I mean, he's done a great job. He's a great ambassador to the sport. Grinding out this team, this Denver team. Fun to watch. A lot of folks talk about, this team will be boring to watch in the NBA Finals. Dude, the Nuggets were one of my 5 favorite teams to watch last year of this past season on my league pass. The way they play basketball, team basketball, fun to watch. If you don't like Nuggets basketball, I don't know what the hell you're smoking. I really don't. So there's that. Congrats to the Nuggets. We'll find out hopefully tonight. We find out that hopefully the Heat will be the team they face in the finals, and we'll obviously have at that point we'll have 9 days between tonight and Game 1, so we'll have a lot of time to talk about the series between then. Hopefully it ends tonight. As for the Lakers and mostly LeBron James, of course, LeBron age 38 will be 39 next season if he does return next season. Yeah, that's we'll get that in a second. A lot of question marks about his legacy and about this and that. And I don't know why we do this shit every year with LeBron. Like, he's a made man. There's nothing to change. Okay, and not only that. this is why I also hate the GOAT talk about the Jordan LeBron argument. A lot of my, and some people, some friends of mine, family members of mine as well too. See, this is why Jordan's the greatest of all time. Because he lost again. Let me ask you a question, and I'm being very serious here. You say that, right? That because he didn't get through this year and he got swept by the Nuggets, were you even considering LeBron to go had he won a title this year? Because I guarantee you no. So if you weren't considering moving LeBron up on the rankings, even if it was a fifth title, then why the hell would you say, oh, this is why he's not the GOAT? Makes no damn sense. It means your argument is disingenuous, okay? It means your argument is disingenuous, in my opinion. Okay? Is this you this is the thing I always said about LeBron. This is why I hate the LeBron Jordan arguments. You know, especially when defend Michael Jordan. Because I agree Michael Jordan's great all the time. I'm someone who watched Jordan, especially in his prime. I watched all 6 NBA finals in real time. All 6. Lakers, Blazers, Suns, Sonics, and Jazz twice. I watched all 6 NBA finals. So I know how good this damn man is. And I wasn't even a Jordan guy back growing up. Okay? I've been a Heat fan all that long. 34 years. Okay? For the record. But I also understood how good Jordan was. I always say, if you want to know how good Michael Jordan was, you want to know how good he really was, go talk to a New York Knicks or Cleveland Cavaliers fan over the age of 40. And they'll tell you. Hell, he's 30, and they'll tell you how good that damn man was. But this is what I hate about, especially on the Jordan side, also too, and the LeBron fans do all the time as well too. So they're not excuse me this argument. It feels like Jordan fans, especially the ones I know, have to go out of their way to defend the guy. Like, if you know he's the greatest of all time, you know that. You know, his legacy should stand on its own. You shouldn't have to need to over-defend Jordan over LeBron. And the fact that you have to over-defend Jordan LeBron tells me that you're insecure in the argument. The only thing I ever push back on the Jordan LeBron argument is this. I'm Jordan 1, LeBron 2. Yes, absolutely. But what I've always said, and I still say to this day, is that it's closer than you give it credit for. I'm going to say it again. Jordan 1, LeBron 2, however, it's closer than you give it credit for. And that's just that. This is why I hate talking about this damn thing. Now, for the Lakers, they got questions going forward. Now, look, is this your success in the Lakers? Absolutely. You started 2-10. You started 2-10 in a very, 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 very competitive Western Conference. Okay? And somehow got into the play-in, won your play-in, but let's be real, Grizzlies was a 2 seed, but they were not stable. They're young, brash, were not mentally fit, and they won that series. Then you beat the defending champions in the second round of playoffs. Okay? So this year is a success for the Lakers. It should be. But this is where it gets complicated for the Lakers going forward. Yes, you have arguably 2 guys who are still top 10 guys, arguably. AD and LeBron James. Yes, AD's probably back my top 10. When he's healthy, of course. This year, he proved to be semi-healthy, and he was healthy most of the playoffs. Well, the entire playoffs, rather. So you got to give him that due. Give him his respect there. But there's questions now for the roster. They're going to have what? Their estimate we hear is that the Lakers are going to have about $30 to $32 million in cap room once we get the official number of how much the salary cap is going to be. The prediction is going to be about $30 million to $32 million in cap room. You know LeBron's getting older. Okay, let's assume LeBron comes back. We go. We'll touch on the retirement rumors in a second. But let's assume LeBron does come back. Okay, obviously he's back, 39 years old. He's still great. Still top 10 player in the league. Okay, AD is made the top 10 case again. But AD also is going to, and you got to bake it in always, he's going to miss at the minimum 10 to 15 games a year, no matter what. Maybe more. And that's putting it kindly, honestly. Their roster, yes, is better than it was pre-trade when they traded Russell Westbrook and got those pieces back. They also got to pay Austin Reeves, who had a great postseason. They got to pay Rui Hachimura, who had a really good postseason as well, too. They also got to pay Dennis Schroeder. They also, what about D'Angelo Russell, who had a horrible series? Personally, I think they let him walk, Russell. So, is the question of LeBron this? Is he done winning rings? I can't say no, because if all things come into play, currently constructed, I would say yes. Because teams are going to get better. Okay? He's not going to get LeBron's not getting any better than he is now. Okay? AD could stay healthy, and if he's healthy, he's going to be a top 10, maybe some can say top 5 guy in the league. Okay? But they might have to go and get another star to fill in those gaps. In other words, assuming you're going to miss LeBron for 10, 15 games next year. Assuming you're going to miss AD for 10, 15 as well. The reason they went after Russell Westbrook, the reason why Russell Westbrook was a thing in the first place is because they need that third star to fill in those gaps in those games that they miss those stars. Now, I don't think that necessarily works in today's NBA anymore, because when you have 3 stars paying them max dollars, it leaves the rest of the roster exposed. And you saw that early in the year. And then when the Lakers actually got rid of the third star and brought in more depth, it got them this far. But the peculiar position that the Lakers are in right now currently is the fact that you got one star is closer to 40. Still great, but still closer to 40. An all-star that, when he's healthy, he's great, but he's always hurt, which puts you behind the ball out the gate. So they may have to dial into the Kyrie Irving thing. It might be that might be the only situation with Kyrie Irving where I believe he could be insulated enough to be controlled. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying that Kyrie is a weird bird. And I feel like the only situation that will work for Kyrie mentally in terms of keeping him relatively controlled is with LA, with LeBron and those guys in that franchise. But he's probably going to want more than $32 million a year. And you still got to sign Austin Reeves. And you still got to sign other guys. That's why it's peculiar. That's why the situation is a bit more questionable for the Lakers going forward. Should you move? And another one else too. Should you move AD? Because right now his stock right now as we sit here is probably going to be the highest it's ever going to be going forward. Anthony Davis. Do you consider moving Anthony Davis to get more back? Here's the problem with that. If you move him, who are you getting? Who can you get? Honestly. Because unless you get someone like Jokic, Giannis, maybe Curry, Luka, maybe Embiid. Who else are you getting? There's no one else that a team would want. Unless you're getting a player of that ilk, a top 5 player of that ilk, that can actually play with AD, actually play with LeBron, and you can move AD with some picks. You're stuck with AD. You just gotta hope and pray and cross your fingers that he can stay healthy moving forward. That's gonna be the question. That's gonna be the big ado about that. So, do you consider it? Look, if I'm the Lakers, I'm taking phone calls. At the very least, I'm taking phone calls for AD. Okay, but they may have to get the third star again. They may have to go down that road again and get a third star. But I think Kyrie would fit better than obviously Westbrook ever did. Now, on to LeBron. After the game last night, made some comments on his presser, and apparently he's considering retiring this summer. Here's his thoughts. What he said after the game.
Pretty cool ride, but I don't know. I think it was okay. I don't like to say it's a successful year because I don't play for anything besides winning championships at this point in my career, and I don't get a kick out of making a conference appearance. I've done it a lot, and and it's not fun to me to not be able to be a part of getting to the finals, but we'll see what happens going forward. And I don't know. I got a lot to think about, to be honest. And just for me personally, going forward with the game of basketball, I got a lot to think about.
Very, very, very mythic. Very, very, very honest. Not sure if he feels that way. Of course, people are going to say, well, what about his kid? His son Ronnie's going to USC next year. Then the year after that, he can obviously, declare for the draft because you got to play 1 year of college before you go to the NBA. But he even said, he was quoted saying too also that just because that's my aspirations doesn't mean it's his. So he even walked that back too as well. David Minman of ESPN also spoke to LeBron right after, and he got some more insight on where his minds could be, what LeBron's head could be at right now in terms of possible retirement. Is it true? We'll see. Here's what Dave had to say.
Max, I walked out of the arena with him and I asked him, what were you trying to leave for us in terms of a breadcrumb trail? What thread should we be trying to pull when it comes to you saying you have a lot to think about? And he said, whether I want to continue to play. And I said, as in next year? He said, yeah. I said, so you would walk away? And he said, that's what I got to think about. And certainly those are some heavy words coming out of the mouth of the game's all-time leading scorer who just dropped 40 on the Denver Nuggets, played all but 4 seconds in Game 4. But certainly he's at a point, a crossroads of his career, and I've covered him for a while. I've never heard him speak like this before, Max. A lot of
Yeah. Shocking stuff here. Here's what I think. I think he's back next year. And for the record, he still has 2 years of his contract. Another year and then a player option in 24-25 season. So technically, he can't just go anywhere else he wants to go. He's still on a contract. He can retire, and then that's it. That's the end of that. Lakers on his right, so. But here's where I land on all this with LeBron James. I think this is all raw. Okay, this is literally minutes after losing in a sweep to the Nuggets. This has been a very, very up and down roller coaster season where you're starting 2-10. Then he had the injuries. Okay, he also got re-injured in this results. Don't forget that. So he's obviously physically beat down on top of that. He's obviously physically beat down. So I figured, you got to figure, okay, yes, it's probably on his mind. I would never doubt it's on his mind. He's also a big family man also. He also has other things he wants to accomplish in the world of entertainment and whatnot. He has other production stuff and other things he has his hands dabbling into. So it's not just basketball for him anymore. But I do think he comes back next year. I do think once things settle down, I do think once things are settled and he gets the surgery on his knee, on his foot rather, whatever it is, he needs surgery obviously. And once things settle down and the rawness of this loss is gone, I think then he'll make a more concise decision on that, and I think most likely he will. I think if I had to put it at I put a 95% chance he's back to play basketball next year. He's still top 10 player in the league, top 10-ish player in the league. I say ish because there's a lot of players who are jumping in that discussion now. I mean, the talent pool of the NBA is amazing, but I don't think he retires. But I do think it is fresh on his mind. Now, his good friend, Carmelo Anthony, retired yesterday after 19 years in the league. He played for both the Denver Nuggets, notably for the Nuggets in the New York Knicks. He also, in his career, I believe, was the Blazers, the Thunder, and the Lakers. Made 10 All-Star teams, 6 All-NBA first teams, won 3 gold medals and 1 bronze Olympic medal. Carmelo also landed on the NBA's all-time 75th year anniversary team and ranks 9th in all-time in points scored in the NBA's history. There's no question of Carmelo Anthony for me. How many people Carmelo Anthony and whatnot, his career, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer without question. His college, 1 year in college, winning in Syracuse, banks that immediately on that. Okay? He is one of the top 5 pure scorers I've ever seen play basketball. Talk about Jordan, talk about Kobe, talk about Dominique Wilkins. Carmelo's in that conversation too. Okay? So, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about that whatsoever. I saw yesterday a couple of my buddies online arguing about, should the Nuggets or the Knicks retire his jerseys. Honestly, those things are, to me, are left for franchises and franchises teams. Okay? In other words, I can have an opinion on that as a guy who's not a fan of the Nuggets or the Knicks, but to me, that all depends on how. To me, that argument should be left for the team and for their fans. Honestly, Denver, I would say no, because I think the way he left Denver and the way that whole ended was so negative, honestly, that I don't think they could ever come to terms with that, honestly. New York, I can say yes, but that's not my choice. Okay, it's not what I think. That's who left the Knicks fans. I'll give you another argument. Udonis Haslem here in Miami. He's going to get his number retired at some point. His number 40 retired here at some point. Okay? But is he an NBA Hall of Famer? No, he's not. But he means something to this franchise, to us, to the community, to the city of Miami, which is why it goes beyond basketball. I don't know his relationship with the city of Denver. I don't know his relationship with the city of New York. I do think that his relationship in New York could definitely make the case for him having his jersey retired over Denver. But I don't know the relationship between Denver and New York in terms of the interwebs, in terms of the fans and the franchise or whatever. But I don't think outsiders, like if you're not a fan of the team, I don't think you should have any input into, or really an opinion, really honestly, as to whether they should retire his jersey. That's up to the franchise and the fans themselves. If he means something to those franchises, then yes, they should consider it. I think New York is probably a stronger case to do it than Denver, honestly. I believe that. All right, switch up here to a little bit of politics here. Ron DeSantis, governor here, Ron DeSantis, expected to announce his campaign for president sometime this week. I believe he's found the papers, I think, tomorrow or Wednesday. Not surprised, of course, because we've been hearing, pretty much the last 6 months since winning the re-election for governor here by nearly 20 points that he was going to be the biggest threat in the Republican Party to Donald Trump to overtaking the GOP. And I'll be honest with you, and you guys know this. I've had a lot of opinions on DeSantis through the years on this podcast, from his handling COVID and whatnot. I was one of the few people who did not vote for him that actually agree with the way he handled COVID. I thought he was certain things he did here in the state I agreed with on policy. But he's lost me. Is why I didn't vote for him for governor last year on the culture war stuff. And I figured, okay, fine. It is what it is. But he's doubled down recently and in the last couple months on certain issues, most notably with women's rights. Now going from a 15-week abortion ban to a 6-week one now, which he signed here into law about a few weeks ago. Okay? And I don't understand why he's doing that, because even if you're a conservative, most conservative Republicans do think that most of them are still pro-choice. And obviously you have the evangelical sector that they don't want any they're more rigid on the argument, and that's fine. That's their right, their opinion, of course. Because I was once in that camp years ago when I was younger, before I understood what the real meaning of pro-choice and pro-life. I'm not pro-abortion, but I'm pro-choice. But what he's trying to do here, from what I can understand, he's trying to move further right than Trump in a way, in an effort to coalesce some of those Trump votes. And then he can use that, win the nomination, and hopefully he can, in his case, he can go to the general and defeat Joe Biden. But I think that's the wrong move. I think what we've learned, and even myself learned in this last midterms, is that women's rights is a big deal. Even in states that are perceived to be very red states, still voted against strict laws of pro-life laws. Okay? So this move to go further right from Trump to coalesce his base in hopes that once he wins the nomination, he can now bring it to the general, that to me seems kind of foolish, though, because then when you go to the general election, when you have a more moderate pool of people to vote for, including myself, who's a moderate, who's not a Republican or Democrat. I've been an MPA for 15 years now, since 2008. Okay, non-party affiliate. Those don't know what that means. That he now has to find a way to cater to that audience, because you're never going to win the Democrats on the far left. I think he really knows that, but you could definitely win the middle moderates, and middle moderates mostly are pro-choice. Most moderates are where I am on that issue and whatnot. And we saw to the midterms the big red wave they were supposed to have that never happened because of this issue. because of this issue. So it doesn't make sense why he'll go so far to the right just to become more unelectable in the general election. Yes, I know because it's Joe Biden. The risk is much less because Joe Biden is, people see they've done a bad or horrible job in his 2.5 years as president. That, again, that's your opinion. You figure it out for yourselves. Everybody has their own priorities. But I think him going that route makes him unelectable. And to me, I think he's gone crazy. I thought this guy could become more normal. And to me, he's smarter Trump, in my opinion. He's smarter Trump. But doing the Trump thing, but trying to go further right and more extreme. And to me, he's losing people in that way. He sure as hell lost me. I'm sorry. Like, to me, honestly, if I was a Republican, I'd rather vote for Donald Trump than Ron DeSantis at this point. Just saying. So, anyway, he's supposed to announce his candidacy for president this week or maybe next week. I heard it was this week, though. We'll see where that goes. We'll obviously more updates on that on the podcast as we move forward on that issue. Let's talk a little Elon Musk. Elon Musk, chaos also himself as the CEO of Twitter. But he did something. He announced something, actually, a couple days ago that got my antennas up. And actually, to me, I believe it's a positive thing for him to do. Obviously, if you know about Twitter Blue and the blue check mark, if you pay $8 a month, you get the blue check mark, and you have certain benefits that comes with that, of course. Now, according to him, if you are Twitter Blue verified, subscribers can now upload upwards of 2 hours of videos, which is 8 gigabytes per post. Now, you think, oh, well, what's the big deal? Well, a lot of people like myself, content creators like myself, who do podcasts or streaming or videos, or maybe, this is to me, a game changer, a potentially game changer for Twitter, especially or specifically for content creators, because now what this does, it allows you to place your content even more available. Now, of course, yeah, you can go to YouTube and put a link, and you put the link into your tweets and stuff, and you hope people can click on it. But having the idea of putting an entire episode, for example, if I'm doing this on video, for example, this episode on video, for example, I can put the entire episode now of the 35 minutes of this recording. Now, place it on my Twitter page, and you can just watch the show right there. And it's a marketing thing. It's better marketing now. It's easier marketing now. And I think this is a potential game changer now for Twitter, especially if you're a content creator, which I know for a fact a good chunk of people on Twitter are also creating content. I know many people who create content who do content creation that puts their work on Twitter. In fact, I would argue that most of my promotion I do for my shows, are on Twitter. I do it even more on Facebook. I mean, Facebook's there, but I don't ever. Facebook, to me, I get less engagement on Facebook when it comes to that, comes to my content, than I do on Twitter. I get more engagement of my work on my Twitter than I do on Instagram. So this is a potential game changer for people who, especially, are content creators. So, we'll see. I'm not a Twitter Blue subscriber. I have thought about it, though, just because I want to see if it's something worth my time. But now something like this could make me want to get into the game. Just cause. Just saying. So for all the crap we give Elon Musk, and he deserves it, of course, some things he says and has operated in the chaos, I will say this is a positive. And $8 a month is not a big deal either, too, especially if you are trying to put your content out there. And Twitter is a good vehicle to doing that stuff. So, anyway, last thing before I get out of here, on the Earnestly podcast today, guys, let's listen, of course. Summertime's around the corner. As I said, my youngest son graduated today from kindergarten, although there's still a couple more days of school. This is the last week of school for the kids, for me, before summertime begins. The next 8 to 10 weeks, I think it's 8 weeks or 10 weeks. Where I'll be home every day, which I love and hate at the same time, because on one hand, I love it because, like, my kids, I love hanging out with them, of course. We do activities and all that stuff, but at the same time, it's also takes away from things I want to do. As you guys know, this podcast does get affected by that too, especially. Although I have said recently that they're getting older now, so I have been able to record some shows, mainly my solo ones. I try to avoid doing guests on the days they're here in the house because I don't want to be modifying things while my guests on the show. I can just do that when I'm doing a solo show. But this is typically the time of year where I start to, in some ways, at least 30 years anyway, I pull back a little bit on content. Like I was probably, instead of doing 3 podcasts, maybe do like 1 or 2, just because of the time of my kids and activities and stuff. But them being home now, and them getting older has allowed me to do more content also, even when they're in the house. If they allow me 30 minutes to go and do a show real quick, I will go and do it. I've done it recent weeks, so maybe things won't change as heavily. But there is a possibility that you'll start seeing less shows. Possibly, I'm not saying it's going to happen in the months to come, only because of the fact. Well, no, for starters, it's that, but also, especially on the sports calendar, things are going to slow down. The NBA playoffs thinning out now. We're almost at the NBA finals now, and then after that's over, we have free agency, and then after that, it's just baseball. It's just baseball, and much as I love baseball, I don't talk about it enough on this podcast. And I'm also a regional guy. I'm also mostly into the Mets. I watch all the games. I watch all the teams, but I'm not as like diehard like I am with the NBA or the NFL. So there's that. And I tend to be more active also in the summertime with my kids. I go to the pool and do other trips and stuff, and maybe some vacations and all that. But we'll see. And I also like to use that as a time to get off the gas a little bit because I am by far my most active when it comes to podcasting with this show and any other shows I do in the fall when football's back. So there's that. So we'll see how everything goes. Obviously, you'll know when I'm putting on shows and content, of course. But there's that. So I guess that will do it here. Let's log off here. Dated May 23rd, 2023. I'm, again, Earnest Christian. You can follow me on Twitter, of course, at EasyChristian7. Guys, especially, if anything, more than anything else, please follow me on YouTube, my YouTube page at youtube.com/@EarnestChristian. There's clips of this podcast on there and other shows I do. I love podcasts, Take the Rest of the Podcast, all that on my YouTube page. So we will talk soon. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And we got a couple more episodes this week. Look out for those. Some good episodes coming up this week. So look out for that. And we'll talk soon later. Thank you.